Welcome back everyone to These Are Raf Times, the series of videos where I, Raf, sort of owner of Rafchild Records, tell you how it is to fail at running a record label and all the things I do in between. And yeah, we left off last time around with me talking about how I actually, by accident, started a record label. And with my terrible discovery of, oh shit, I have 1,000 CDs and don't know what to do with them. Now, here's the thing. If you run a record label, you'll find out that CDs or vinyls as well. Records in general are like rabbits. They multiply in a very fast manner. So you have to figure out what to do with all of those releases. So today I want to talk about a little bit about what I did and what I started doing over the time, how I sell records and how other people sell records and how this whole thing works. So let's start. Cheers. Okay, so you get a record, which is pretty simple. Go to a pressing company, send them the data, send them like the graphic files, the music files, and say, okay, please, can you press me 1,000 CDs? And they say, yeah, sure. It takes about a week. And a week later, you have like 5, 6, 7 boxes of CDs at your home. And then you carry them up 3 flights of stairs because you don't have an elevator or anything. And then you store them under your bed because where else are you going to store them? And then you have to figure out how to get them out again. Now, that's pretty simple and basic. It used to be pretty simple, I should say. Like, with a large record label, it works like this. You have a deal with a distributor. So the distributor then buys a large amount of your CDs, most of them from you, and then offers them to record shops and supermarkets and whoever else sells records these days. So they buy them from the distributor because they also buy all kinds of other records from this distributor. That makes sense if you're a large label or have large bands that sell a lot, because let's face it, with the kind of bands we're talking about here, like in the underground, selling 1,000 copies is a lot. It actually doesn't happen that quickly. So getting a distribution deal is problematic because you won't sell much through distribution, and because you have to sell it so cheaply to the distributor so they can then take their cut and get it to the record shops who then sell it to the public for a competitive price. You have to mark down your product so much that it will basically take forever for you to even just break even. So that's one way to do it. I'm currently not doing that. If despite my ineptitude, at some point I will sell enough to make this work, and like the bands I work with are big enough that actually having their records, like their CDs, standing in some kind of record shop will actually make a difference, and they just, people just pick them up on instinct when they browse through a shop. Then I will think about getting a distribution deal, and I'm surely open to that, but it's something that right now is not exactly a smart move for me, I think. If you have a different opinion, you can always tell me down in the comments. In fact, just tell me whatever you want in the comments and subscribe and it really helps me. But apart from that, so distribution deal is off the table. What else can I do? I can talk to mail orders, other shops directly. It's like, I have this mail order, I write the guy, it's like, hey, I have this new release, it's amazing, would you like, I don't know, to buy 50 copies directly from me for a wholesale price and then sell them to your customers? I do that. I have a couple of really cool mail orders / shops I have worked with. There's in Germany, that's mostly Underground Power Records. I really support those guys. They're one of the best places to shop underground heavy metal in Europe, I would say. I've worked with, sold some CDs and stuff to my friend Greg at Eat Metal Records in Athens. If you're in Athens, go past his shop and say hi. It's an amazing place. I've sold some CDs and vinyls to No Remorse Records in Athens. I've sold some to, and I cannot pronounce it, yeah, I really cannot pronounce it, but I'll link to it in Portugal. And yeah, that's like direct sales. They buy them for a wholesale price, which in my case is usually about half what I charge when I sell directly to people. So they can also make some money, and it gets the CD or the vinyl out there, so more people can actually see it, get exposed to it, and then can possibly buy it. So that's the next one. Have direct contact to different mail orders, record shops. So I mean, if a local record shop and my contact Rio in Osaka did that, he messaged me and bought a lot of CDs direct from me. So they are now for sale in his record shop, SA Music in Osaka, although I think a lot of them are already sold out. So maybe go there and ask for more so he can order more from me. So if a record shop, and if you watch and you are a record shop and you want to get some CDs, just send me a message and we can hash it out, and I'll send you a package of CDs. So that's the second one, direct sales to mail orders and other record shops without a distributor, which has the advantage of it being cheaper for me and for them. So we both make more money in the end. It has the disadvantage that a record shop has to contact me directly, or I have to contact a seller directly and say, hey, would you like to sell my stuff? That's part two. What else is there? There is obviously direct sales, in-person sales, like having a web store, and I'm coming to that in a minute. So having a web store or having a shop at a festival or concert, just sitting there at a metal market behind a big box of CDs and vinyls and hoping that people walk past and buy your stuff. Or in my case, even more terrible, walk around the campground, talk to people, and try to convince them to buy something from you. That's how a lot of underground, really small underground labels work. It's like you meet someone, you talk about your releases, and they say, yeah, I'd love to buy some. Then you go back to your tent, he buys some from you, you buy some tapes from him, whatever, I did, for example, last year when I came to Trondheim Festival. I met my friend Gustav from Armory, and he has this amazing tape label. So he bought some CDs from me, and I bought some tapes from him, and that's how we did that, because he wanted some personally from me, and I wanted some of those tapes personally. But this brings us to the next part that you have with other labels, and that is trading. And trading means exactly that. You write to another label, it's like, hey, I would like 10 copies of this amazing release. Would you like, 10 copies of something of mine in exchange? And then you hash out these things. You have a long trading list, and you say, yeah, I could take 5 copies of this. I could take 5 copies of this. I recently did that with Rafchild from 9 Records in Poland. Amazing doom metal label. So if you feel like some classic doom metal, they're perfect source. And he wrote me and like, hey, I'd like to have some of the new Cardinals Folly album. Would you like to trade? And I said, yeah, sure. I might need some of the previous Cardinals Folly album because he released that. And then I looked over, it's like, some Lucifer's Fall maybe, and some, what else? Some Acolytes of Moros, for example. And it's like, yeah, I love those. And then we made some deal, and he got 10, 15 CDs from me and 5 vinyls, and I got a bunch of Caskets Open and Evangelist and stuff like that from him. And now I have these CDs at home, and he has some of my CDs, so I can now offer those to my customers or my friends and tell them, hey, you really need that new Caskets Open. And it worked really well, so I sold 4 or 5 of those Caskets Open albums. So go check out Caskets Open. They're an amazing uncommercial heavy metal, doom metal, whatever band. It's really good doom mixed with some hardcore, and you would think they're from New York, but they're definitely from Finland. So yeah, that's the point that brings me to like web stores and stuff like that. Because when you trade, you suddenly collect a lot of albums and of different bands. You realize that you're not only running a label, you're also running a record store, basically, or an online shop. And yeah, so far I used to just sell through Bandcamp, which is, if you're a band, like the perfect way to sell your music. And if you're a label, it's also a really easy way to sell like the stuff from the bands that are on your label. And I still do that. And it's like the easiest way for me to sell stuff and the easiest way for people, I guess, to buy stuff, except from just sending me like a private message to say, hey, can you please ship me this stuff? Like send me an email. That also obviously works. But it's no longer like the useful store if you suddenly have, I don't know, 50 different CDs from 50 different labels or 50 different bands that are not on your label. Then you cannot sell that through Bandcamp. So I figured I need a web store. And I'm currently setting this up. I got one. I got a subscription to Big Cartel for the moment. I'm currently setting it up, putting in like the items and getting a design fix and everything. And this will be the next step to have that open as well. And then there's the thing that I'm currently working on and planning to do, because as I mentioned before, sales at concerts, at festivals are really a big deal in the underground circles. We cannot do this year because of COVID. So my cool plan is to visit friends like I've made over the years and have something along like a heavy metal sales party. So like I go there like a heavy metal trading salesman, a traveling salesman. I come there with my big box of different albums, the stuff I release, stuff that I have for sale, and visit a friend somewhere, and he invites or she invites their like other friends that listen to heavy metal, and we sit down. We do what we usually do at concerts and festivals. We talk about heavy metal and all kinds of other stuff. We maybe have a drink or three, and actually, play some of the records I have for sale on the stereo. And then in the end of the evening, everyone who found something they liked, actually checked it out on spot and found something they liked, they can then buy the stuff, and I hopefully sell some CDs, make some new friends, spread the word, get some new inspiration, and go home and everyone is happy. And that's like something I'm looking into doing right now. And once I've done it a couple of times successfully, I'll definitely tell you all about that. So that brings us to how I, at the moment, sell all these tons of CDs that are piling up in my living room and under my bed and in my kitchen and everywhere else. Basically, I sell directly to record shops and mail orders that contact me directly and ask me to buy some stuff wholesale. And if anyone feels like doing that, just contact me. Then I trade with other labels and to get their stuff. Then I have a Bandcamp account and sell my own releases through Bandcamp. And I'll have a running web store really soon, I hope, to sell all the other stuff as well. And I try to sell in person wherever I can. That's basically it. And I think a lot of record labels work on these along these lines. And if you're a band that does their stuff themselves, I think those are also probably ways you're going to handle this, because how else are you going to do it right now? If you have questions about how to do these things, or if you want to tell me how I do everything wrong, which is more than likely, then yeah, put it into the comments. If you have questions, put them in the comments. If you have suggestions what I should talk about in the next video, put them in the comments and I'll try to respond. Please subscribe or whatever. And yeah, I'll talk about something else really soon. Cheers.